and a review of some interesting points from In Plato's Cave by Alvin Kernan. This was a English literature professor and dean and provost, actually, at a few different universities, including Columbia and Princeton and Yale, I believe. So I'm going to go through the book and just pull out some interesting things in case you don't read it yourself. This is a memoir, and it is his experiences as being in those various roles, a professor as well as in administration in different universities in the U.S., and his take on some of the culture wars that went on in the last half of the 20th century. And his profession really is teaching English literature. And I want to say at the outset that many people think that reading fiction, reading classics, is not really, it's kind of a waste of time. It's not very practical, and it's just kind of dreamy and kind of a fantasy kind of thing. But English literature is one way that we study ourselves. I don't think a lot of people really realize that. When you write good fiction, you are reading it's almost like an experiment. It's a kind of, if the world was like this, how might it end up? And how might the people in it react and behave? And what we can take from that is whether the book accurately portrays a world that we might seek. And this goes both for dystopias, which set up a world that is a bad one, and the author tries to portray why it's bad, or at least a good novel would. Or we have utopias that are set up, and maybe some nuance in terms of utopias not being as great as we might think they might be. So before people dismiss English literature and classic literature, like reading Steinbeck, or reading the ancient Greeks like the Odyssey, or reading Dostoevsky, or reading James Joyce, etc. Before you dismiss that, just see it as a kind of mirror of human behavior and our social systems, and which you think might be a better system that is portrayed in this made-up world, which is the fiction novel. And that's why people say they read a book like, I'll give an example of my own particular taste, like The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. The various characters you may come to appreciate greatly for their virtues, and you might think that a novelist who attempts to create an ideal character, I think you come to appreciate how difficult it might be. But it is akin to creating a kind of work of art or a sculpture. Think of a sculpture that portrays the human body. Literature does the same thing, only it tries to create human characters that are ideal.